All right, we'll go ahead and start moving here. I know I usually try to give people an extra minute to kind of go through things, get logged in, but I am going to go ahead and get started today. Today we're talking about, we're going to be talking specifically about getting ready for trade show. So what are some of the things that you need to do in order to be ready for that trade show? And we're going to talk about some of the 7 deadly sins of trade shows. Hi, Maria. We got some great people on the call today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to be, so just like I said, so we're going to talk about general trade shows. So like what to bring, how to plan your show, some of the trade show sins. We're going to talk about, then we're going to talk about some of the ASD specifics. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the pre-show work that you can have done. So let's go ahead and get right into it here. Hold on. Let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see the PowerPoint. All right. So here is what to bring. Here's some of the things for that you're not going to need at the show, but you do want to bring with you to ASD or to any show. Now, one of the people ask me how I read so much nonfiction. A lot of it is because I travel so much. I bring Audible, 1 or 2 Audible books for every trip that I'm doing, and then I have a couple of Kindle books that I'm reading. So make sure that those are downloaded to your phone before you get on the plane. You want to make sure you bring your laptop. Don't forget the charging cable, and don't forget any extra charging cables for anything else. So, an extra phone charging cable, an external battery, the mini USB cable that it takes to charge the external battery. If you are going to be scanning a lot of lists to your virtual assistant, the scanner that I use is a Fujitsu ScanSnap, and we love it. It's really portable. It's really easy to take with you. And then we take an X-Acto knife. And so what we do is we just take the razor, the X-Acto knife, and just cut down the binding on the brochures, and we'll scan them to our virtual assistant. Now, many of you have heard me talk about ASD and about different trade shows, and we'll say, we really don't want you to be going through giant catalogs at the trade show. I'd rather have you focus on items or lines, companies that manufactures directly. And one of the questions that I always get is, how do I know if it's a manufacturer or distributor? So if they're selling Hot Wheels and Matchbox, 2 competing brands, they're a distributor. They're not a manufacturer. The manufacturer is generally going to carry, 1 brand, maybe a couple brands if they're related, and it's all, the name of the company is going to match the name on the website. You can pretty much tell because it's going to be a much more cohesive product mix. If you have pages, if they give you a catalog this thick, it's either going to be a very big company, could also be a distributor. If they won't give you a catalog, that is a good sign that it is a liquidation or closeout deal. So with the Fujitsu ScanSnap, if you don't have that, you don't have time to buy one, one of the apps that I just use all the time is I use TurboScan. Remember TurboScan way back in the day? So I use TurboScan, and somebody asked me, why would I do that instead of just taking a picture? TurboScan will turn it into a black and white scan document like back in 1990, right? The benefit to that is it takes away the glare. So sometimes if you just send a picture, it's hard for the VA to read because the glare on some of these glossy images. So if you can't get the Fujitsu ScanSnap, download TurboScan. It's free. It's easy to use. We've been using it for 6 years. I'm sure that there's a fancier, cooler tool, but it works, and so we don't mess with it. So there's also, you're going to want to bring an external phone charger, so an external phone battery. Depending on how much you're going to be using your phone, you might want to bring 2. If you use your Fitbit, make sure you bring it. And then one of the other things that I do to reduce luggage costs, especially in the beginning when we were first doing trade shows, I would bring an expandable duffel bag. So those little duffel bags that kind of fold up and zip into kind of a little compact piece. So I would do a small roller bag, so I could get that on for free with Southwest or even American Airlines. If you're gold, you can get that, on. And I would put the duffel bag inside it so I wouldn't have to carry a lot with me. And then what I would do is I'd put all my dirty clothes in the duffel bag. So as they were dirty, they'd go in the duffel bag. And what I would do is I'd put the catalogs in the rolling luggage for when I was heading back. So I didn't have to carry all of those heavy things. right? So, and Denise has a great point. She says, you know, if you have access to a post office, take a medium flat rate box and you can ship them. There is a FedEx from the convention center. And if you're staying in, I believe it's Bally's and Flamingo also, Bally's or Flamingo has a FedEx in it as well. So if you could bring a large flat rate box and just put them all in there and then ship them back if you're, you know, flying one of these airlines that doesn't allow for a lot of luggage. You are for what to bring for the actual trade show. You want to bring lots of business cards. Every person that you talk to, especially every person that you're going to ask for a price list from, is going to want a business card. I would recommend that you don't have your store name on there unless you're really sure you're not going to hand it to any other sellers. But part of ASD especially is the networking with other sellers. And so you're probably going to end up giving your card to another seller. So make sure that you think about that and think about that all the way through before you get to ASD. If you need to make special cards, so you could make cards that are just to give to sellers, make them black, make the ones that you're giving to vendors white. So what we'll do is we'll have different shapes that we use for different purposes. So when I'm feeling in my purse, I can kind of feel which card to give somebody. If you're going to do purses, I'd recommend crossbody. You might want to bring a backpack or a rolling bag. I know the rolling bag is at the bottom. Now, rolling bags aren't allowed at every show. So like fancy food show, absolutely no rolling bags. But for ASD, you can definitely bring those rolling bags. You don't realize how heavy paper is until you get a bunch of catalogs. So you're going to want something that's going to make you be able to run a lot farther. It's because if you can get one of those rolling bags, then you're going to be able to put other bags on top of it. So, I mean, there have been times where I've left with like 70 pounds worth of paper on that rolling bag. So bring pens. I don't know what protective Sharpies are. It should have just been Sharpies. And then some cheat sheets. And I'm going to show you what I mean by a cheat sheet. And if you're in the Academy, remind me, and I'm going to post the cheat sheets. They're already in the Academy, but I'm going to post them in the Facebook group. And then a mini stapler or paper clips. Mini stapler makes you look kind of cool. You'd be surprised how many comments you'll get on the mini stapler. But just to staple the business card to the price list to the catalog, or use paper clips to kind of put them all together, it's going to help keep everything neat and organized. I would recommend that you write the booth number of every company that you talk to and who you're talking to on the papers that you're talking to. So on those glossy papers, the reason I bring the Sharpies, and I use mostly the Sharpies I'm taking notes, is because the Sharpie will write on the glossy paper where the pens don't always work on the glossy paper. So let's go ahead and go to, so things that you're going to want to buy in the city probably. And so if you're going to Vegas for ASD, there are several places right alongside the strip. There's CVS's now on the strip that you can get to. So I would make sure that you bring to the convention center with you a water bottle or several water bottles, some power snacks, like things that you can snack on, like trail mix and things like that. The food at the convention centers for pretty much all of these trade shows is gross, it's expensive, and it's not very good. So, bring some snacks, some things that will keep you moving. One of the other things is people will try to get their coffee right at 9 when the show is starting. It's going to be crazy. And all of the coffee shows all of the coffee shops like in your hotel are going to be really busy. So the Las Vegas Convention Center Starbucks is crazy, but they do move really, really fast. I would recommend that you just kind of buy some coffee, like maybe a Frappuccino, the ones in the bottle, if you can handle that, and do that, or have coffee in your hotel room and then bring it down. It will save you a little bit of time. If you can't get out to go to CVS, there's a service called Postmates, and I use it all the time in Vegas. I use it all over the country. It didn't work in Canada, but it works for most places around the country. So you can have food and groceries just delivered to you. So we've had them bring, water bottles and some snacks and things up to the room. They'll bring it all the way up to the room in most of the Vegas hotels. So we've ordered pizza, we've ordered cupcakes, we've ordered water bottles and cereal and things like that. Those are all things too. If you don't assume that you're going to have a refrigerator or microwave in Vegas, almost no hotels in Vegas have microwaves. You can get refrigerators in some hotels, but it's not in all of them. So make sure you know that before you get there. That is called Postmates, Postmates. MATES, like a mate, like a friend. So post like a postal office, and then mate like a friend, Postmates. So on your planning your show, you want to make sure you know what sections you're going to go to, what vendors you're looking for, and start on the far side. Okay, so you need to know in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Convention Center, there is like a North Hall and a South Hall. So you need to know exactly which areas you want to go to. So different areas will have different kind of themes about them. Right. So, I mean, this is true for all shows. Like if you go to Toy Fair New York, one floor will be, new exhibitors. One will be, very large companies like Hasbro. Well, sometimes Hasbro will have like an entire floor. So you want to look at the map before you get there. You can use ASD's show planner if you get in their show planner, and they have an app on your phone. So you can download the ASD app. It will give you push notifications. So it'll tell you if something good is going on. I believe the education center sessions are on there, and then the map is also on there as well. So you could be looking at that kind of, while you're waiting for your plane and things along those lines. You want to know what kind of vendors you're looking for. Now, at ASD specifically, there are a lot of different kinds of vendors. There are closeout buyers, closeout and liquidation. They usually will not give you a price list because they don't want you to take that price list to to their competitor. The manufacturers will give you price lists. They're going to have that available for you. But there's traditional manufacturers, and those are mostly going to be in the North Hall with a couple of exceptions. The South Hall is primarily there's closeout and liquidation, but there's also what they have like C-store, convenience store stuff. So there's a lot of dollar store junk in there as well. So if you are looking around and you're seeing that there's nothing right, you might need to just take a moment. When you check in, they're going to give you a nice little thick book. And in that thick book, there's a list of all of the vendors. And this is for every show, but there's also going to be a map. And you want to look at, different floors, different areas of whatever convention center or whatever hall you're in. You want to make sure that you're in the right section. Now, if you're getting there right as the show starts, so what I'll do is I will walk straight to the back far corner, and I will work my way back this way. So where most people will walk into ASD and they go like this back and forth, then there's a huge, all of the booths are going to be fairly busy all at the same time. If you walk straight to the back and then work your way forward, you're not going to be working kind of in the same wave as everybody else. So vendors are going to have more time to talk to you, and it's going to feel dead when you're there. So, and I use a very systematic walk. I will start in this corner and I will work my way back like that. And then I will go back and I'll go to the other corner and I'll start and work this way. The reason I walk the floor in both directions is sometimes you'll see something walking from one way that you didn't see. So maybe all of their merchandise that would be good for Amazon, maybe the things that are a little bit more niche down, or all on one side of one wall, you might not see it if you came from this direction. So we make sure that we always walk both ways. So here is the ASD Market Week map. So you can walk from the West Gate. If you are driving, I would still recommend that you take a Uber or you take the monorail, and that you use that to get to the hall. The reason is that this parking right here can get really busy, especially on Sunday and Monday. And then you might end up parking like even this parking could get all the way full. So sometimes you park like a half mile away and you have to walk, and it's still going to be like $12. So I don't recommend that you try to park right here unless you're going to get there super early. So if you're going to get there at 8, then that might be okay. Now, as you walk, if you're taking the monorail, as you get off right here, there's going to be two escalators. One will go over to the North Hall and one will go over here on this side of the street, right? There's usually right here, and right here, there's a little golf cart that will take you back and forth. So if you find that you're in the wrong place, if you stand there and wait for the golf cart, it will come and it will take you there, especially if you know that you're only going to be able to walk so much. Now, this is the South Hall. It used to be that the South Hall was where you wanted to go, especially as an Amazon seller. They have reorganized the show. The South Hall is no longer where I recommend that you start. So some of you might be interested in luggage and tools. maybe the electronics and housewares, right? So maybe this military and outdoor, but this part, if you're a private labeler, you might go to Source Direct. But for the most part, you're not going to have a lot in the vaping and smoking just because of Amazon's rules around those things. This is going to be beauty and fragrance. You need to be really careful about, because beauty and fragrance, there's a lot of people that have items that I'm not really sure that they're authentic. Just because somebody has a booth there doesn't mean that their items are legitimate. A lot of them will say, oh, I have MAC makeup, it's just not in the boxes. That's not appropriate for Amazon. So you need to make sure you're really careful right over here. This is where the apparel is. So we've got apparel and shoes right here. There are 4,059 million scarves every year. So just remember that if you see a bunch of beautiful scarves, remember we want things that are search term pretty. Search term pretty is really important. So what keywords are you going to use that don't have a lot of competition but do have demand to get people? So a blue scarf, no matter how beautiful, no matter how soft it is, there's a lot of other blue scarves out there. How is yours going to stand out, right? Prosper is going to be held back right here. So if you're Ubering, this is where you're going to mostly be. This is where like the Amex Lounge is. Most of you are going to be coming in right here. The Ubers pick up all the way back here. So you're going to have to walk all the way to the back. It's going to feel like a million miles, but it's all the way there in the back. So this is one place to register right here. You can get your badge right here. The other big place is going to be right here in the South Hall. So the seminars and education, so right here where there's a little, there's like a Starbucks and there's a food court, you're going to go up the escalators. That's where the classes that the IMA are teaching. So that's where you're going to go up there. Jewelry, cash and carry, the biggest thing is don't let anybody do anything to your hair or to your hands. There's a couple of vendors that they'll do like the electronic, like chiropractor, like the TENS machines. Once they have that stuff hooked up to you, it's very hard to leave, and they're very high pressured sales people. So the people with the nail decals, the people with the hair straighteners, all the same thing. So be really, really careful. It's fine if you really want your hair straightened, but you want to make sure that you're watching your time. Cash and carry, so these items right here, you can buy them with cash, and you can walk out with them at the door. These are not order items. These are things that you see them, you buy what they have in stock, and you leave with them. This is where the majority of you are going to be focusing on. The home and gift, the license, gourmet food, and the specialty toy. So this is kind of where it is. If you're gluten-free, they have some gluten-free burgers here. That's the only place that they really have anything gluten-free other than salads. So that is the Las Vegas map. So with the cheat sheet, so this is a little Word document that you can cut into 4. You put the booth number, who you talk to, and then you might put the product name, and you're going to you can ask them, like, what is a minimum opening order? Minimum opening order sounds a lot better than what's the least amount I can order from you? So what do you like to see on a minimum opening order? So that's going to tell you, if they say, well, we don't take orders for less than, $8,000, then you know that might not be for you. If they say that's $150 or $500, that's going to give you an idea of kind of what they're looking for. And then I always ask them, so how do you ship? And if they say, well, whatever freight carrier you decide, that means they're probably going to try to send it on a pallet, or they're looking for very large purchases. If they say whatever you want, UPS, FedEx, then that tells me that they're going to be shipping smaller amounts, and I'm not going to have to worry about residential fees or liftgate fees, and I don't really have to let them know that I'm shipping to a residential location if that's the case. We want to make sure we ask where it ships from and when they think it would be able to be shipped. Not every product that is there at ASD has already been made. Some of them are getting pre-orders so that they can have the item made, and then they send the item in several months. So you want to make sure you're really clear on that. If they have any quantity minimums, so they're going to make you order in, price breaks or things like that. And then I will put, I have little notes down here where I can, circle, whether they're requiring a brick and mortar brick and mortar required, whether they're, Amazon is selling the item, or if they have a big map policy, and then I'll make any notes right there. This all kind of helps me remember. Now, I don't really have these conversations usually. I might not flush all of them out until after I come back to see that brand the second time. So our recommended strategy is day 1, price list. Day 2, you're setting up meetings and following up, getting more information so you can finish up your research and due diligence. And day 3, you're closing some deals and placing some orders. For some of you, that's going to be way too fast. Some of you have already done some pre-vetting. We have had some coaching clients that have gone through and made sure that they had pre-disqualified every vendor at ASD, so they knew exactly where they were going to go. So by Sunday, they had visited all of the booths that they had wanted. They'd already had most of the price lists, so they were able to have meetings, or they were able to place their orders on Sunday, and they were able to enjoy themselves and have fun the next couple of days. So if you do, the more pre-work you do, the more it can help. So let's see. So let's go through the 7 deadly sins of trade show etiquette. So the first one is asking dumb questions. Now, normally I would say there are no dumb questions, but at trade show, there are dumb questions. Can I make money selling this? Can I make money selling this on Amazon? Do you think this item can make me money? Any variation of this question is a dumb question. It is not the manufacturer's job to tell you whether or not you can make money on this. That is your job. The manufacturer's job is to create a product that has demand. It's our job to make sure that the profit margins are there, and then help provide larger distribution through Amazon and e-commerce. That's our job. So here are some better questions, that if you're looking for things to kind of feel the conversation. Are you currently in any big box stores? Is the item ready to ship, or is it still in production? I didn't have Brianna check these slides for spell checks, and I'm regretting that now. What state does your item ship out of, and how long has your item been on the market? So these are some of the questions that you can ask your vendors, right? These are going to be better questions. So, and the big thing that people want to know is, what if they ask me if I'm selling on Amazon? We're not going to lie to them. You want to tell them, but you want to have something that you're ready to provide to them that tells them that you're more than just somebody that happens to sell online, that you are going to be able to provide some value to their brand. Deadly sin number 2 is scanning in the booths. Please, please, please do not do this. This is going to be, the exception to this might be if you're making a closeout or liquidation deal. And when I say scanning in the booths, I'm going to include taking pictures without asking. It looks to them, it looks weird. It looks like maybe you're stealing information, or your competitor trying to rip off their products. They don't necessarily know what you're doing. And if they do know what you're doing, and they know that you're looking it up on Amazon, now you've kind of lost that opportunity to have a real conversation with them on Amazon, because now they've already decided what kind of seller you are. And, it's kind of weird for someone you don't know to watch you do that. But also, people are picking up things from somebody's booth. It would be like if somebody came into your office when you worked in a job and picked up your stapler and, look at it and put it down. It's not horrible, but it feels weird, and it feels like a violation. So always ask, and you want to ask if you, so sometimes you can say, hey, I want to remember this product. Is it okay if I take a picture? And then if they say yes, then that's okay. Totally okay if you ask and they, and they say okay. But we don't want to just start taking pictures of everything in their booth without asking their permission first. So yeah, like Denise says, she says the same thing. She says, sometimes I ask if I can take a picture to remember the products better later. That's exactly what I do too. And so most say yes, but some of them are worried about knockoff competitors. So I'm in a board that, like an old forum that has a bunch of manufacturers in it, and some of them have said, because there's some manufacturers and some brick and mortar stores in this forum, and the brick and mortar stores were complaining about Toy Fair and about how so many of them had closed booths where you had to have an appointment in order to get in. And they were saying, well, I'll never do business with this company again. They don't value my business. But the manufacturers were saying, you guys don't understand. We can have a brand new product that we've developed all this research. We've done all of these things, and we have it at an open show where everybody can come by. And by the time the show is closing, so it opens on Sunday and closes on Tuesday, there are already people who have, mock-ups of the knockoff that they're going to do in their booths. So remember, how we feel about protecting our store, that's how they're going to want to feel about protecting their products. So anytime you think, well, hey, that's stupid, let's try to remember and think about it from their point of view. Not assuming the shipping is extra is deadly sin number 3. Now, a lot of times at these shows that they will have a free freight. FFA is the best 3 letters ever because it means free freight, free shipping. But in wholesale in general, you should always assume that the shipping will be extra. So you're going to calculate those shipping fees unless you're told otherwise. And then if there's a problem, remember that this is a business and we want to develop a business relationship with them. About 3 years ago, I had somebody who came, they came to ASD and they were a coaching client, but they had started working with a couple of other coaches, and so we kind of lost track. But I saw them at ASD and we said hi, and then they called me 2 weeks after ASD. And she was really upset. She's like, I ordered from this vendor and they completely overcharged me. They added like an extra 10% to my order and they didn't say anything to me. And so I said, I told her to calm down, and we started talking about it because she wanted me to post in, like on Facebook that these guys were ripping her off, which I understood. She was upset. But here's the thing, the extra that she didn't look at was the cost of the shipping, and then there was an extra $200 fee to have a lift gate service. So if a truck has to have one of those gates like they have on the moving trucks where it goes up and down, a lot of times they're going to charge you. Now sometimes that charge is $20, sometimes it's $200. It can get very expensive very fast. But she didn't give them time to explain that. So I said, okay, so where are these items? She's like, well, I just got off the phone with them because I did a chargeback. So basically she reported it as, almost like a bad transaction or a credit card. This is the worst thing you could ever do. Please do not ever do that. She said that she had contacted in the morning, they hadn't responded back within 4 hours. These vendors, they're going to be shipping out a lot of orders all at the same time. So make sure you give them 2 business days to respond back. Now, you do need to follow up with these vendors, right? But you want to make sure you're thinking about this and using a little bit of temperedness. So make sure you consider that, that you want to consider that the shipping is going to be extra unless they tell you it's not. And that you're going to ask about those shipping rates before you place your order. Make sure you're clear on the shipping cost before you place the order. Sometimes it can be in excess of 10% of the total cost of the item. All right, hold on. All right, number 4 is telling brands they're stupid. Yes, I have seen people actually tell brands that they are stupid in their own booths. So what happens is somebody will say, well, I want a price list. And somebody will say, well, where do you sell? And they say, do you sell, well, they sell on Amazon. They say, we don't sell to Amazon sellers. And I heard them say this several times, but I'll hear them say back, well, that's stupid. Okay, you're not going to get anywhere with this conversation by insulting people. So we need to think about it from the brand's perspective. There are very real reasons for brands not to sell to Amazon sellers. We have seen, negligent Amazon sellers, people who, and some of them are really big mega sellers, well known, not well known in our little community, right? But like, big mega sellers like, like e-tails and toys and games that have destroyed and sometimes even put out of business small manufacturers. This is a real concern. Amazon is a real concern for them. So my recommendation is to not tell them that they're stupid, but instead to say, I completely understand. I know that there's a lot of Amazon sellers that just don't take what you do seriously. This is your mortgage. This is your baby. I completely understand you're doing the right thing by protecting your brand. Listen to their problems. Ask them why they don't want Amazon sellers. And then focus on any value that you can bring. How can you fix this? If you are only a retail arbitrage seller, do not diminish what you can bring. You understand how to do reimbursements. You understand how the Amazon system works. You understand how Amazon fees are calculated. These are all things that are very confusing to a brand owner. So you want to make sure that you're listening to their problems and then you're seeing if there's some way that you can help them. Now, don't promise things that you can't deliver on, but you can say, I believe I can do this. I can do some research and get back with you. When is a good time? Can we schedule a time to talk after you get back from the show? So leading with your close is deadly sin number 5. So this is so if I meet somebody for my first date and he comes in, he's handsome, I'm like, hi, I'm Robin and I want to have 3 kids. Doesn't matter if we could have been soulmates, now we're not, because most likely most guys they're not really thinking about kids when they're first coming to that first date. I don't recommend leading with Amazon. So, hi, my name is Susie. I'm an Amazon seller. What I would say is, hi, my name is Susie. We work in retail. We're looking at carrying some of your products. I'd be interested in seeing a price list. You have every right to be at the show. You are a real business and you can provide real value to these companies. So you do want to lead with that. But before you spend 45 minutes determining, trying to talk this seller into thinking that, this vendor, the Amazon sellers are a good thing, that you need to be clear whether or not you actually even want to buy anything. So I would recommend you get the price list, you do your research, and then you come back and then you have that conversation. So we don't want to lie to them. We want to make sure that before you place your order, you are being clear that you do sell. One of the places that you do sell is on Amazon, but it's not necessarily the first thing that goes out of your mouth. I would recommend that you focus on getting the price list, then seeing if analyzing the price list, and then seeing if there's something you actually want to do business with them. Are there SKUs you really want? And then going back with them and having that conversation, because they spent tens of thousands of dollars to be at this show. They have to get sales off these shows. If they're talking to you, instead of talking to a brick and mortar vendor that could have gotten them a couple $1,000s worth of sales, you're hurting their business. So, focus on getting the price list and then coming back. Now, you can have a little bit of a conversation, but I would say, you know what, let me just take a look at your price list and see. Or if they won't give you a price list, then say, that's okay. I see a couple items that I'm interested. Do you know how much that this one wholesales for? And then just write it down. Caterpillar salt shaker, booth 5469 sells, wholesale for $6.99. And then you can look up a couple of those items and then see if they were close to being profitable. And if they were, then you can come back the next day and say, I've been really thinking about your products and I can't get them out of my mind. I would really like to have a conversation with you if you have a minute. And that's going to be a little bit different, right? And then you can ask questions in the Q&A or in the chat as well. So you can be respectful. So you want to be respectful on the time because they need to make money off of this booth. So the other one is lying to a brand to get a sale. This includes pretending that you have a brick and mortar if you don't have a brick and mortar. This means pretending that that your UPS store is a brick and mortar. So you can cause potential IP issues because if they're not clear on where you got your product, they might think that these items are knockoff. And then, there are some companies that use intellectual property laws to try to scare off sellers as well. But this, when people lie to brands to get a sale, it perpetuates that dirty Amazon seller myth and ruins any chance that you had for a real relationship. So you could have actually had a really good long-term relationship where you've been, you're able to provide really good sales, really good value to that brand. But if you start off with a lie, you're not going to get anywhere. Yep. So Denise says the one good lead for discussion on their products is to talk about their products, and it gives you credibility, right? So that's one of the main things that we start with is, I love this product, and if I know about that product, I'm going to have a good conversation with them about that product instead of necessarily where I sell. And then she says to say that I currently carry certain types of products. is their products are a natural extension of my current product offerings, right? So if you've already done a lot of scarves, then you can say, I've done really, really well in apparel, and especially like some of the accessories, and we're looking to move in to the shoe category, and so I noticed that your shoes would pair really well with a couple of the accessories that we're already carrying, and so that's what makes me especially interested in those items. So number 7 is impulse buying at the booth. Make sure you do your research. Make sure that you don't let them pressure you into making a sale before you're ready. Nothing will kill your momentum in your business like dead inventory. One of the biggest mistakes that I think people make in wholesale buying when outside of the lead sourcing piece, when it comes to actually buying, is they make their first couple buys too deep. If you need to, buy them retail price and see how they sell through. You don't need to buy 40 cases. And I've been to booths, especially at ASD, will be, nobody else has this. We're the only ones that have the product like this. And you'll literally go 3 booths down and it's the exact same product. So make sure you do your research. Don't let them press you. Don't buy off emotion. Make sure you have somebody else check your buys so that you're making good buys. Unless it's liquidation, it's going to be there for you to buy later. So with ASD, some of those specifics we talked about parking. Even if you're flying into a city, Uber is one of the best ways to get around Vegas. If you do not have a Uber if you don't have an Uber account, I thought it was kind of cool that my referral code, it almost says Jesus. So JSUS 5. Then I think that we both get I think you get $10 off the first 2 rides or $5 off the first 2 rides. And if you're too tired to eat, which is definitely something that happens to me a lot at trade shows, Postmates, I have a referral code here, 995A. I think you get a free delivery off the first one. I can't remember. If you have an American Express that has that open badge on the back, then you can, there is a place in the North Hall there where it's right over by the food court where the escalators are by the education, and they have coffee, some very light snacks like peanuts and a couple of other things. Don't expect very much, but there is a quiet place to work. It is a nice place to get away from some of the intense noise, especially if that causes like a lot of sensory overload for you. That can help as well. So if you want to stay, if you're still looking for a place to stay, I recommend the monorail. I stayed recently at Harrah's, and I had always thought that Harrah's was kind of gross, but I stayed there for an event recently, and their new remodeled rooms were actually really nice. Last I checked, they did still have rooms at an affordable rate, so you should check there. And then, yes, so David asked, should you buy a monorail pass? If you're going to be using the monorail for several days, I would buy the 72-hour pass if you're going to use it. It works really great. You can get back and forth. You'll be able to get to a lot of the parties except for the ones that are off-site. So the monorail pass is really, really great. If you're gluten-free, you're going to go over to the Renaissance, and then we have the IMA education. So I'm going to go ahead and share, because I think that I am just on. So I'm going to come back and share remind me guys to share the education and the link to the party. Before you go to ASD, you want to qualify your vendors, because ASD can be a little hard to do that because of the product mix though. So you need to remember that there's a lot of junk, there's a lot of cigarette store, a lot of convenience store stuff. Gather as many price lists, have done as much analysis as you can. If you haven't done any of that, that's okay. The best part about ASD is it's a great show to practice. You can't mess this up. And somebody said, well, can you ever mess up a trade show? And on some of these really small ones, like Toy Fest West, yes, you can mess it up because there's only like 10 aisles, and they're really short aisles. And so by the time you recompose yourself and go to the next vendor, you only have so many shots where people can kind of watch you flame out if you make mistakes. ASD, there's no pressure. There's a million vendors, so it doesn't matter how many times you bomb on your talk or your introduction to yourself, or you're trying to get a price list. it all works out. So what I would do is focus on trying to get as many price lists, getting as many deals as you can. And then if, you know, if the companies want to talk about like what value you can bring, then see if you can set a meeting ideally there. If you already have a vendor that you're buying from and they're going to be there, I would ask them if they and their friends would like to go to dinner. Can you pay for them to go to dinner? Because they probably have friends that are other manufacturers, and so you want to get to know those friends. So hang out there. If you find a place where you know manufacturers are mixing, then go hang out there. Forget the sellers. Go hang out with manufacturers whenever you can. Okay. Uh, let's see. So, and you can have a VA vet your vendors. So I'm just going to write notes to myself because I'm going to show you guys three things. I want to show you a spreadsheet that I did for Toy Fair 2017. It's been a while, you know, so then I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you the education and the party and Toy Fair. So I'll do that as I'm answering questions. But you make sure if your VAs have been kind of sleepy lately, send them a couple price lists. If you're in momentum, use the price list in the price list vault to get them started, get them practice, making sure that their skills are on point, that the tools that they're using have updated fees. I will tell you, we were just doing some research for a brand and we noticed that Jungle Scout fees are not accurate right now. So, you know, make sure whatever you're using, like, you know, Price Checkers is right on point right now. This is your first show. You know, this is, you know, the idea is to practice to get your talk track down. So if some of you are coming to our event on Saturday where we're going to spend the whole day just talking about how to talk to vendors and exactly what to say, but role play before you get there. I know it seems dumb, but it does help if you've actually practiced these things before. And make sure you own your success from what you've done in the past, right? So what, you know, if you're already a multi-million-dollar seller, you're a multi-million-dollar seller. Being a bookseller or an arbitrage seller doesn't make it any less $1 million. So when I look at a show, what I will do is I look at so when I'm trying to set a goal for my shows, I'll say how much of the cost of the airfare, the hotel, how much did that all cost? Okay, it was $1,000 and I'm doing 100% ROI. I'm just saying that to do the math easy. We actually do a little bit lower than that. So I need to spend $2,000 to break even. So I'm trying to spend $2,000, you know, based off of previous shows. If, you know, because I have previous shows, well, that means I'm going to need, you know, I'm going to need probably 60 price lists to make sure that I for sure hit that goal. And so I will keep walking. I will keep talking until I actually make those orders. Now, the key is you can't compromise your buying criteria in order to hit that. Otherwise, you kind of get yourself into a mess. So I'll say, you know, by staying over 60% ROI, not buying more than 30 days worth of stock, you know, only buying buying no more than 2 SKUs that we have to bring to the Amazon marketplace, I'm going to spend $2,000. And that would be kind of, you know, and so I would base out my activities and my appointments based off of that. So let me go ahead and I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up that Toy Fair thing. So go ahead and start asking questions while I do that. And then I will start showing you, I will show you that. I forgot to pull this up. Sorry, guys. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. So if you guys have questions, make sure you get them asked. So go ahead and start putting them in there now. How many companies do you consistently reorder from? It's varied throughout the years. You know, it started out, you know, the first couple ones that we did, the first couple trade shows that we did, I would say that we probably did, you know, we were probably on averaging like, you know, anywhere between 5 and 10. I think at the highest that we ever got was probably about 30, 35. But I will say that the Pareto print, the, you know, the 80-20 rule has pretty much always been a big part of, you know, of kind of like the makeup. I mean, yeah, in total. So yeah, so in total, so I would say on average, we're usually somewhere between 15 and 25 on companies that we're reordering from on a regular basis. Now, there's always companies that kind of come in and come out based off of that. What if you're willing to share what's your average purchase amount? So it really, so sometimes we'll start out with a company that we know we're not going to order a lot from, but we know that we will once we get things cleaned up. So some of the companies that, you know, I scrambled to put together $1,000 order or a $300 order, you know, we were getting to the point where we were doing like $10,000 at a time. So it is possible to move these, you know, move them up. So, but, you know, I would say probably the average would be somewhere, some of them are always going to be like $300, $500 because they're just really small companies. But some of them, you know, would be, you know, could be as much as like $10,000 or $15,000 at a crack. What type of attire do you normally wear to the show? So like this is a little, this, I usually, it's like, so if I was just walking the show, I might wear a shirt like this. Gentlemen, I would say polo shirt at the minimum, maybe collared shirt, nice jeans for Arizona and Vegas, those kind of cities. For West Coast or for East Coast, I would say like dress down, dress pants. So business casual, which I know is so frustrating because it doesn't really mean anything. But so, and I would say the younger you are, the more you need to dress up. So, and if you're feeling really, you know, you're not feeling really confident in yourself, then you're going to want to do that as well. You're going to want to dress up a little bit nicer. If you wear like a, you know, a suit with a, with a collared shirt underneath, you're going to feel overdressed and it's going to be hot because you're going to be moving around. So if you're going to wear a suit jacket, then I would recommend like a suit jacket with, you know, like really dark jeans or something along those lines. Let's see, is it common to walk out of the show with inventory in hand? It can be. So you can booth buy. So there are some people that, you know, will wait till the end of the show. We've done this with a couple of shows where we've gone in and we've bought, you know, we've bought certain things. So we'll say, you know, especially our first, in the beginning, because we needed every deal we could get because we didn't have a lot of options. We were just kind of winging it. So a lot of times I would say, so I would try to work out a deal where I would say something along the lines of, you know, well, you know, if I place this $500 orders, can I have what you have here? So because Vegas is someplace I could drive, so you know, we would come with a car. So we left a lot of times with inventory in the beginning. That wasn't something that was really, you know, doable, you know, at the scale that we're at now. We don't, you know, booth buys can kind of slow you down, but in the beginning they can be awesome because you can end up with a booth buy, you're usually getting 50% off the wholesale price because sometimes it's more expensive for them to bring back the items than it is for them to sell it. So they're, you know, if they don't sell that booth, they're just, sometimes they'll even, you know, leave it there, destroy it because it doesn't make sense for them to take it home. Do you still negotiate free shipping in exchange for terms? So we do. So you can negotiate things. So you can say like, I want free free freight. And so what we do is we'll say, you know, since we're placing this first order, we're placing with a credit card, can we, you know, can we get a discount or can we get free freight? And then a lot of times they're going to have those shows. And sometimes if they say, well, you know, you could have 60-day terms, we'll say, you know, can we get free freight in exchange for that? Kind of depends what your cash position is, but I always make an ask. I always try to do something to make sure that I'm getting, you know, some sort of special deal that I might not otherwise. Let's see. I might have missed it. Do you dress professional? So sneakers are okay. I would recommend, so my mentor told me to bring 3 different pairs of shoes. So I usually will bring 2 different, you know, pairs of like nice dress sandals that I can wear, like, you know, like the ionic ones or something like that that are good for wear. I start with sneakers and I'll change my shoes. It does refresh your it does refresh your feet to be able to have other shoes. Now that does mean you have to carry around stinky shoes all day, so it depends on your personality. Some people would not like to carry shoes around. I don't mind carrying an extra pair of shoes around if it means I'm not going to be limping home. This is not the time to try your new shoes. So if you just bought new shoes for Toy Fair, you best walk in them a lot between now and then. Because you need to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to make sure that that there's not going to be any blisters or anything along those lines. Let's see here. So your goal is to cover the cost of the trip, and you do that by purchasing 2,000 to make 1,000. Yeah. So let me share so I can. Let's see here. Okay, so, I hate how this puts this here. Okay. So what I'll do is, so I'll go here. So you can actually go through here and you can kind of get an idea. So if you say, okay, I have a 60% goal for my ROI, and I need to break even off of $1,500 in travel, then that means I need to spend this amount, right? So you can just put it in here. Yes, this is designed for monthly, and yes, the fees on this are going to be off for some of you because this assumes a 33%. Amazon's taking a third. Now, if you have really expensive items, that's going to be, you're not going to need to spend this much. If you have lower cost items, then you'll need to spend more. Tennis shoes with a nice outfit, that does work, yes. Is it common for vendors to accept credit cards at the show? Yes. I pretty much always place my initial orders with a credit card. I will tell you that you're going to look a lot more professional if you're not using your Disney Visa with Mickey on the front of it. Obviously don't sign up for a different credit card just so you don't have, a Mickey Mouse on it. But, if you have your choice between to put them on, then, think about points, think about, payment terms, but also, nobody's going to turn you down because you had a weird card, but, you're going to look a little more professional if you have something like a, Amex Platinum or something along those lines. But yes, and sometimes you can even do terms where you're saying, well, you'll pay in 30 days, like in the grocery category. Not so much at ASD, but as a lot of the other shows, it's very acceptable to have 30-day terms. If your card doesn't have your business name, if it's just a personal one, that usually doesn't faze them, but they will probably, you do need to bring your business license with you. So you need to bring your business license because they will be asking, hypothetically, they will be asking for that. They're supposed to ask it for every time. They don't always ask for it though. So other things I want to show you, they have a show planner. You can use the show planner. When I'm looking at show planners, I especially look for the little boosts in the back, and for new companies, those kinds of things. They have a pretty big website. They have education, and the seminar schedule is there, but it's a lot easier to see here or on our website. So here it has the schedule. I have the same schedule on this, so I'm going to put this in the chat right here. At the bottom, I have the text call in for the party. So you can get some information about the party. So the party is going to be at the Peppermill. I would recommend getting there from 7 to 8 because that is when I will have the most time to chat because there's going to be the fewest people. So if you want to hang out and actually get to talk with some people, like me or Nate, you want to actually pick our brains, I'd recommend getting there closer to 7. We're gonna have a bunch of food out there at 7, and it guarantees your free drinks. Because we have a pretty hefty minimum for this place, so make sure you come out. Please bring as many. As long as you guys do the RSVP, so we have an idea of how many people are coming. You can bring more people with you. And, this is a business networking thing. Other parties that I know people are having is Alex Moss is having a party. Tactical Arbitrage is having a party on Sunday. The Yaples, Ryan and Keith are having one at MGM on Sunday. And I believe Chris Anderson and Tyler Nelson are having one on Sunday. I want to say Ashlyn Hayden might be having one on Tuesday. Jason T. Smith is having a networking party at Tuesday at Frankie's, which is a tiki bar. Lots of fun. I've been there with him before. So there is lots of networking opportunities at the show. So make sure you take advantage of those. Does anybody else have any additional questions? Let me make sure we get everything answered here. That might be all of the questions there is, because I've talked about this. Yeah, IMA is my party, yes. So it is Monday from 7 to 11 at Peppermill, it is right over like behind Circus Circus. So this is actually like it's like an old diner. It's like one of the like Vegas establishments. So they've got like they've got these cool fire pits, and like it's like one of the top 50 places to go in Vegas. So it's a good place to go anyway. So it's Peppermill Monday 7 to 11, and you RSVP via text, and that is the party that we're hosting with Merchant Word, Seller Labs, Internet Merchants, and Best for the Nest, because that's me. And I can't find that file. The Toy Fair, that one that I meant to have it open before I got this. It's not letting me open it. But do you guys have any other questions? If not, I'm going to let you go. There is not a list of the parties, because I only know about the parties that that I'm invited to, and I'm not completely cool. So I don't get invited to all. For the attire for networking parties, I mean, you could probably wear a Superman shirt and you'd be totally fine. So Nerds Unite, none of them have a big dress code. Ooh, that's a really good question, Denise. A successful show. So people always say, like, how'd your show go? And, I always respond back, like, I'll tell you in 3 months, because I won't really know until, until I've placed a couple of reorders. So I would say that a successful show is one that 2 or 3 months down the road, I'm still reordering from, at least, 3 or 4 vendors on a regular basis. That's what a successful show is to me. I mean, I don't really care how many orders I place at the show. What I care about is how many orders am I placing, that are restocks off of that. So that's what we call internally like a successful wholesale account, is an item that we can restock at a profit, moves consistently. We can buy 30 days about worth of stock at a time. That's really what we consider a successful purchase. Which side would have the Chinese manufacturers? Yeah, so let's go ahead and go into that. So let me pull up that slide again with the map, because somebody was asking about that as well. Oops. The cheat sheet is in the Academy. So I'm going to put the cheat sheet. I think I actually have it up here in a Word document. Yes, Laura Lee, should already be, so I put it live into the Academy Facebook group, so Academy members would have it right away. So I will post in the Academy the cheat sheets, and I will also post that Toy Fair New York thing so you can see. I don't have a central list of the parties, so those are those 3 questions. And then let's go back to this. So let's see, what was the question in chat again? So let's see, the first one was, what side would have the Chinese manufacturer's private label? This is going to be that, the area, Source Directs is going to be the area that's going to have the most Chinese people, not Chinese people, but Chinese manufacturers. Any wisdom on the Source Direct area? You need to negotiate a lot heavily, very heavily. You need to make sure that you get samples. You need to make sure that you're really clear on your contracts, and make sure you're watching for compliance. If you don't, what if you don't have much to offer? So what if you don't have much to offer a manufacturer as an Amazon seller? In the beginning, when I first got started, I didn't really have it. I wasn't Robin from Best for the Nest. I was just Robin, right? So I would say, these bigger companies, yes, they can offer you some perks that I can't offer you, but you're going to be in one of my main accounts. I'm going to care a lot more. You're going to be the gum on the bottom of their shoe. For me, you're going to be, I need this account to go well because I need a case study to make, to work with other vendors. And I want you to be my case study. That I'm a person of my word, and I'm giving you my word. I'm going to follow a map. And if, I don't perform the way that I say that I will, stop selling to me. But I know that I can do a couple of things. I can fix these listings that are wrong. I can run some sponsored products, and if you can't say that, then say, what I can do is I'm going to be learning a lot, and I want to use your products, and, at my expense, I want to, help you gain more market share and help put more people in front of your products by doing some things on Amazon. Amazon is an incredibly powerful tool, and I've really mastered being able to sell existing companies that have existing demand. But where I'm looking to really demonstrate with your company is how can I take a brand that maybe not as many people know but have a great product, and how can I make a difference for those companies. So I'm going to be focusing on, but while honoring your map agreements, I'm going to really be focusing on how can I drive traffic, how can I increase the amount of eyes that are seeing your product. And you can use Amazon as a customer acquisition tool, so you're going to be able to get exposed through Amazon to other customers that you might not normally have access to. I don't understand offering value propositions to companies. If I did all the work for companies improving listings, I wouldn't have time to run my business. So that used to be the way that we looked at it too. We would say, well, we would basically enhance the listings because it would give more, it would give more sales to us. Where doing all of these things makes a difference is it allows me to have accounts and keep accounts that other people would really like to have. It allows us to take trash, things that other people, I've seen literally people go through our, walk past our best vendors at some of these shows, take the price list, look at it, and they look a couple things up on their phone and they crumble up the price list and they throw it away because they think it's trash. We're able to, take something that doesn't meet somebody's buying criteria and create a full living off of that. To earn more off one of some of these vendors than I did working as a youth minister. So creating and enhancing these listings, that is my business. We are able to sell the items that we're able to sell because we understand how Amazon search works and how to make it work for us. Those are the things. There are some companies that will still take just a straight sale, but the number of companies that will just take a straight wholesale sale can be smaller. Yes, so it gets your foot in the door. Is exactly right. So, where people are trying to push exclusives, and these in your manufacturers, it's not really in their best interest to do an exclusive. So what we're doing is we're saying, you say you don't take Amazon sellers, but your current Amazon sellers aren't doing this. Let us fix this thing, give us a shot. And so it can help us bring those items. To what extent are you looking for products already on Amazon versus bringing new products to the market? We really like to focus on items that are already on Amazon or where there's search volume, but there isn't a lot of competition. So we do bring items to Amazon, and we've done really well with that, but we don't go to look specifically for those items. Yes, exactly, Adrienne. The money's doing and is there for doing what everybody else won't do. And that's kind of always been, we've worked a little bit harder. Not that actually Denise works incredibly hard, but we'll do things that other sellers won't do, and that's given us opportunities that other people haven't been able to have as well. So I think that is it for the questions for tonight. I will post the things that I promised for the Academy. I will post it underneath the replay that's in the Facebook group, and I will also have Brianna post this replay in the Academy too. We're going to be switching some things up in the Academy. We will be closing the Academy on March 15th to new members. So if you know anybody who wants to get in the Academy that hasn't already, then make sure that they register before March 15th. We're going to be adding a lot of new items to the Academy, but we're going to close it for 2 to 4 months. So there will be a limited opportunity while I take some things apart and put them back together. And when we reopen, the price will be higher because we're going to be adding some, a lot of content that is, really content that we had really thought about just keeping for momentum. We're going to be, all Academy members are going to have access to. So make sure if you have somebody that wants to be in the Academy, that they get in before March 15th. That is it. I will talk to you guys soon and have a great day. Bye, guys.